Yeah, but some of that's changed. Okay, we'll get started here. And I'm gonna change things up a little bit, because Luke from Visit Casper is here, and his won't take very long. So, Luke, I'll have you come forward and talk to us about the sponsorship of the. Yep, right there.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. Commissioners, appreciate the time. It is not lost on any of you, I believe, that Natrona County gets to host some amazing events each year that are of the sporting type. 8 of those being some of the largest tourism weekends that Casper sees annually, and the county plays a role in all of those. Whether that's CNFR or the state tournaments, those events, you as a group have seen the economic impact that those have brought to our community time and time again, and we can't thank you enough. But we are blessed to be able to host the National Junior College Division I Women's Basketball Championships for the next 2 years. So that'll be a 6-day event. Essentially, the Junior College Women's Basketball Championship will be bringing their entire March Madness tournament event to our community from March 26th to April 1st in 2024, and then with the adjoining weekend in 2025 as well. We've also bid on the event for the following 3 years in 27, 28, and 26, 27, and 28, but we'll see how it goes. But with this event, just like CNFR, it's an opportunity for Casper and Natrona County to host a sporting event on a national level. We're going to be seeing teams from Florida, the East Coast, the Northwest, Midwest, and God willing, Casper College will have an opportunity to win a national championship in their hometown. Casper has hosted the Region 9 Junior College Basketball Tournament multiple times for men and women. It's an exciting affair. With this national event, it's going to be held at the Ford Wyoming Center. And it's our first time to really roll out the red carpet to these athletes and show not just how Casper takes care of a sporting event, but how we take care of a national sporting event, how we make sure that that championship experience that we host for CNFR and these state tournaments is not just done well each time, but how it's magnified and evolved. So with this, it's going to be an expensive event. A 6-day event at the Ford Wyoming Center is no joke. And in this first year, we want to cover all of our bases and then some. So we expect this event to mean about $500,000 to our community in terms of economic impact, from hotel rooms to spend. And this isn't just parents and families coming to watch their kid. This is universities and colleges from all across the country coming to support their school, their teams and cheer them on and hope for a national championship. We're asking and looking for 10 story sponsors, and each of our story sponsors will be $10,000. And our goal is to essentially create a different environment in the Ford Wyoming Center. So we want to put a banner for each of those sponsors covering one of the top segments of seating. It'll be a 28 by 28 foot banner to create a new environment in the Ford Wyoming Center that nobody's ever seen before. And a piece of this is because the championships are going to be streamed on ESPN2, which we're super excited about. So we'll have a national audience of thousands of people, unlike any other event outside of CNFR. And then we're looking for 24 community sponsors to essentially attach themselves to each team who comes to our community so that we have community liaisons and some community buy-in in terms of who's here and why and what their accomplishments mean, not just to them and their parents, but to us as a community as well. So we're asking Visit Casper that the county commission consider a $10,000 story sponsorship to help this event be what it can be, not just in year one, but in perpetuity.
Anybody have any questions? Commissioner Milne.
This wouldn't be a contract or anything moving forward. It's just this one-time event for right now.
It's a 2-time event for right now, 24 and 25. Okay. So we would ask that it be a sponsorship for each year. And then if we were awarded the event, we would, of course, come back for the years after that. But at the end of the day, with everybody that we've talked to, we have 4 story sponsors right now that have already committed $10,000 over those 2 years. We want everybody to measure the success. We want to measure what are you getting out of this in terms of your business, but also what does this story mean to the community? Are you seeing the hype and excitement that you want to see as well?
And this is $10,000 each year
Yes, sir.
that you're asking?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner Nicolason.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Luke, thanks for coming in today. What is the community sponsor level amount?
$2,500.
Okay. Have you approached the city of Casper at this point?
Not yet, but we're in conversation of how and when to get on the agenda.
Would it be your intention to also ask them to be a story sponsor?
Yes, sir.
It seems like the story sponsors receive a benefit of maybe a bump to their business, kind of a marketing advertising thing, and private industry has that budget, those items budgeted for. I think it's a little different. I mean, we have supported and will continue to support lots of community events, and that's important to this commission and commissioners before us. But I don't have a concern, and I think we should sponsor or support. I'm not sure that it's at the $10,000 level or at the $2,500 level. Maybe my fellow commissioners have strong feelings one way or the other. Thanks.
Yeah, if I may. The reason we're titling it a story sponsorship is because we want to help tell the story. When we go after businesses, Visit Casper, yes, we're excited about their experience in Casper and what that's going to mean for them. But they're their own organization, they're their own people, and they have a story to tell of what they're educating their membership on or what they're celebrating, whatever that may be. With the NJCAA, the groups that we first went after were business owners in the town that have a junior college experience. So our first two sponsors came from the oil industry, but both of them played basketball at Casper College, so they cared about that experience. But then also in their personal businesses, they use junior colleges as places to find ready workers. So that's one of those things of Casper and our relationship with Casper College and the junior college that we're so blessed to have. We want to tell that story as well of we're not just, another city with a small university or small college. We're proud to have Casper College, and with that, we're proud to host these other 23 universities as well.
Sure.
Commissioner Mill.
So segueing off of Peter's question, if you sell more, are you like capping it at story level for this many sponsors and that's it?
Yes, sir. So thank you for the question. At the top of the Ford Wyoming Center, or as the seating goes, there's the bowl in the back or the front, however you want to look at it. And then on the sides, there's the bottom level and top. And the top is separated into 6 separate sections on each side. So there's technically 12 spots where we can put a banner. But we want to cap that at 10.
Okay. So if government took a spot, that would take away a spot of advertising for somebody out there potentially, correct?
Potentially. I mean, at the end of the day, that's why we want 24 community sponsors, because the small business, we want them to see the impact in a big way. So we want to ask for a smaller dollar amount. The companies that have given 10,000 so far have come from 2 family foundations that care about the junior college experience, and then 1 Altitude Energy Partners who went through a sale just recently in the last few years and is looking for any way to be part of the community that helped them get their start.
Okay, thank you.
Question.
Commissioner
How
Laird.
many days did you say this would go on each time?
Yes, 6 days.
And how many teams approximately come in? How many people?
24 teams, and there's about 12 to 15 girls on each team, 3 to 4 coaches, a trainer. Typically, and this comes from Darren Devine and Paul Marble, the president of Casper College and athletic director, as they travel with the team to Lubbock, where this event has been the previous 6 years. And the president of the university typically goes, and some of his staff, the athletic director. So each school brings anywhere from 20 to 30 people. So we're working with a company out of Denver as well as local Casper transportation companies to make sure that those options are taken care of for all those 24 teams. We're working with the local hotels to make sure that there's specific blocks set aside. We have to adhere to national junior college regulations on how many teams can be in a hotel at once and so on and so forth. And so there's a large logistical effort that's going through with this, but 6 days. And in terms of just those people, it's going to be around 1,000 people that are just here for the event to participate.
So what does our 10,000 actually go for? What is it used for?
Yeah, so a lot of different things. So one, as the host, Visit Casper takes on all costs. So we pay the rights fee. When we were awarded this business, we said we will write you a check for $27,400. On top of that, we are also responsible for getting the referees from around the country who will referee this. That's 3 per game. And I believe there are 12 to 13 games. And each one of them has to make a certain amount per game. The hotels are typically taken care of. Their flights to get here, they get a per diem, or we reimburse to a certain degree. So we pay for the referees. We'll have a hospitality room just like Proud to Host the Best. So we'll ask the community to take part in that. The Ford Wyoming Center is a business to trying to make money. So that over 6 days, we have a revenue sharing agreement. But say nobody comes through the door, we're looking at about $54,000. And then with that, security and all the different costs, we've budgeted that this will be about $120,000. And so any dollar that comes in towards this is going to go to the event. And that at the end of the day, if we make enough that some of this goes towards extra in terms of taking care of the local businesses, maybe we get to purchase the food that goes in the hospitality room. Maybe we get to honor the companies with special National Junior College polos with their branding on it so that they can tell that story for the remainder of the year. But every dime is going to go towards this event and making it special in Casper.
Thank you. Commissioner North.
Luke, thanks for coming. When is this going to be awarded? Awarded? When's the bid going to be awarded for this? I knew that Casper College had applied for it, but I wasn't sure when they were going to hear about it.
Yeah, we were awarded the bid in February of this year. So we put together the bid with the Ford Wyoming Center and Casper College and turned it in last November. And then we were awarded the bid in February for 24 and 25. And then just in September, we turned in a bid for 26, 27, and 28.
Okay, so this has already been awarded too?
Yes, sir. It's coming.
All right. Okay.
Coming whether we like it or not.
All right. Well, it'll be good.
Yes, sir. We hope so. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
All right.
Okay, with you and let you know, Luke. I appreciate you coming in. I just wanted to get an explanation from you so that everybody up here understood exactly what the ask was and what it was going towards.
Absolutely. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
for Luke and for Visit Casper, does the chair have an idea or recommendation for when we might move forward on this or address it next? Is that the regular session? Is it undetermined?
Well, I would like to take care of it the next regular session if we could. But I also wanted to have everybody have the opportunity to take in exactly what was being asked and then decide on what level you wanted to put your commitment. I mean, if you have recommendations now, I'll certainly take them.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Mill.
And maybe I should ask Luke when he was up here. What's the deadline for our decision? When do you need this by?
Great question, Commissioner Milne. Right now, just kidding. As the event
There's the
is-
door.
As the event is not until March 26th, and we'll have a selection Sunday where we'll host a Calcutta with the community sponsors to add some more excitement and buy-in as these junior colleges get selected for the event. But we're having 2 town hall meetings to express our vision for the community sponsors on October 23rd. And we would truly hope for an answer around that time. So would November 1 be an okay deadline?
Or we could even, at our next meeting that we have, we'll have a decision made.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Danielle.
Commissioners, Michael Brown, Parks Director, has sent you a memo and updated job descriptions for the Parks Department, specifically the parks operators and also the maintenance workers. Basically, what we have done is combined the two job descriptions to reflect truly what the employees are doing as their daily duties. So these are updated. He also has another position that has been budgeted. That employee has retired. How long ago?
It was January, last January, after his back surgery.
So what we always try to do is take a look at, is there a need to fill the position? At the time, there was not, but with this upcoming winter, Mike has seen that he probably needs to go ahead and fill that position. It is a budgeted position, but we always like to come forward and let you know when we have an open position that hasn't been filled for a number of months or a period of time. We want to bring it forward to the commission and let you know. Do you have any questions for us?
Commissioner North.
Just for, just for clarification, mountain positions, or is this a combination position? Just so we,
Okay, so the open positions for the mountain, and I have that as a mountain, parks maintenance operator mountain. I delineated, in the past, the operators, employees on the mountain fell under equipment operator 2, which is a road and bridge position, which doesn't clearly describe their duties up there. And after the staff resigned, I looked into these and decided that we really need to delineate between parks maintenance operator at the lake and parks maintenance operator on the mountain, because on the mountain, they start grooming at 3 a.m. They work odd shifts through the winter, depending on when the snow is coming to maintain our trails. And then also at the lake, they work clearly standard hours, but they do work summer holidays and some of the weekends as needed. So I really wanted to kind of clearly define those two roles because even though they're similar, they're different. And the equipment operator 2, which is a position that was vacated, just didn't make any sense to use that job description anymore for the mountain. So that's where we came up with these two new job descriptions with new titles, but they're the same people and they're doing the job that's better described in these new descriptions.
And it will be the same rate of pay.
okay, well, I just wanted to, for clarification reasons, I just wanted to make sure that that's what we were talking about, because I know that's an item that we had discussed in the past as far as where you needed help and everything else, especially getting somebody that could operate the grooming machine and some other stuff to give Joe a break.
Yeah, and if these are approved, I'd like to start with advertising internally. Some of my staff has shown interest in the position on the mountain, so I'd like to, interview internally and see if we can't fill it, the position from a point here, a current employee.
I guess my next question, since you are the director, I guess I'm a little confused because the director has the authority to do a lot of this stuff, as far as job descriptions and things like that. And I just want to understand why, is this a different step just for clarity reasons, or is this something that we need to look at in the future for any position that we have that's not redescribed, I guess, is probably the easiest way to put it when we change the description of the job. Is this something we're going to be looking at, or is this something that our department heads are going to be able to do themselves without having to come before the commission every time?
Well, Commissioner North, I think that's up to the commission. So the previous commission wanted us to come forward and let you know when we were going to fill positions that had been vacant for a certain period of time and let you know that we were going to go ahead and fill those positions. So truly, I think it's up to the commission if you want us to come forward and let you know or not.
Well, and I guess it wasn't so much, I don't have any problem with that, but it was just when we're given a new job description of a position, are we really filling these positions or are we just changing the positions around?
Commissioner North, maybe I can answer that. In the employee handbook, it states that if I'm going to change staff's job descriptions, I need to receive approval from my supervisors. And so I think that's probably why we came in front of the commission today.
Okay, well, I just wanted that. I just
Yeah.
wanted that for clarity. That's the only reason why I'm asking that, is just so that everybody's on the same page, so everybody understands that, so, okay.
Anybody have any other questions or concerns about the way these were put together? Commissioner Nicholas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have any concerns. I think it's good, and I think we ought to be able to move forward on this right away. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. So, that motion, if that was a motion, if not, then,
I just think we need to give them a thumbs up, so.
okay.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move to commission roundtable discussion, and right off the bat, we'll hit the Natrona County International Airport. I see Glenn's here. Did you want to come up and, I guess, have a seat in case there's any questions about this? And Jim, I think I'll kick this one over to you. This, you had an idea as far as funding on this.
Yeah, so thank you for coming in today, Glenn, and everybody else from the board. Basically, I had an idea about, we have some funds that are sitting in our general fund right now, 1.13 or something like that, around there, if I remember right. It's the money, it's a loan that we took out from we're gonna have to pay back to the state of Wyoming in 2035. Right now, it's only making what it would make sitting in the general fund. I've chatted with the treasurer and Nick, and a little bit. They're supportive of this idea. What I think we should potentially do is take those funds that are just sitting there, put them into whatever is the currently highest yield account that we can put them in, Wild Class, WIGIF, whatever it is, and just whatever's the highest at the time, and designate it as a commitment to the tower for the airport. We'll be making some decent returns on it finally, and we'll be able to support our local airport in its efforts to improve here. And hopefully it'll be able to sit there, and when it's ready, future commissions will know what it's there for. We can title it in its own separate account. Tom didn't think it would be too difficult to do it. And future commissions will know it's sitting there and ready to go.
Commissioner Nicholas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, Airport Board and Glenn, for coming in today. There's an application deadline coming up, and October 12. So I think there's a good reason to address this today. The funds aren't required immediately, and from Glenn's letter, the earliest indicated that the funds would be required is April 1st of 2025. I think we should support this. The control tower at the airport is old and obsolete in most every way. We toured that around August 1st, and so I hope we can support this to the requested amount of $2 million.
Commissioner Alert.
I support the request of the airport board.
Commissioner North.
Well, we all took the tour, or at least most of us did, and having a 60-year-old tower definitely presents issues out there with all the electronics and everything else that have to go in there. And have you located your new location that you're going to put that in, or are you still evaluating that? Because I know you talked about moving it back to the east and making it higher and stuff all over there.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, so I actually went to Atlantic City to the FAA Technical Center. That's where they do the tower siting. So we went through the siting process and identified, actually, they considered the 3 sites that we were originally looking at, an additional 4 sites, 4 sites initially, an additional 3 sites. So we do have a preferred site that we're looking at right now. We had some of our controllers that were there. So that is the site that we're moving on. It is on not that much different from where the control tower is now. It's just a different height. And when you talk about the building, if it was just the age of the building, or we just had to be able to maintain an older building, we're getting really good at that. We have World War II buildings. It's the look down angle. It's the line of sight issues for the control tower. That's the thing with the controllers that we can't get past with the existing facility, no matter how much you dress it up and fix it. You can't get past some of those issues.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Milne?
Yeah, just a little bit more on my ideas. If we use that full amount, roll the returns back into it every time, by the time it comes around for the use 25, we should be within inside of that goal commitment.
Commissioner North?
I just support what Jim said, is to roll over that funding and let it grow and until that point. And at that point in time, then we can make up the difference, because it should be a very relatively small amount at that point in time.
I do have one comment, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Laird?
I don't think that tower is old and obsolete. I was the only one born when that was built, and I think that it's just getting warmed up.
Mr. Chairman, in keeping with that analogy, we would just need to have you about 3 feet taller than you are at your age.
Yeah,
We'd be okay.
exactly. By the way, do you keep the old tower? You build a new tower, or?
Mr. Chairman, we don't actually have plans. None of our cost estimates actually factor in what happens with the control tower. I think some of you know, we have been looking at having the air races in Reno, Nevada, potentially located to Casper. If that was the case and we're able to get the new tower constructed, the existing tower does not provide, it doesn't prevent line of sight issues. It could be something that would be used for those types of air races, things like that. So we don't have a definitive plan for that, but right now it would not have to be removed in order to construct a new tower.
Where would the new one be constructed?
It is, if this is the flight line and this is where the control tower is right now, there's a roadway that runs, that roadway that kind of, this is the tower and this is where the ramp area, there's a roadway that serves the tower. It is on this side of that roadway, so it's not that much further back. It's just, but significantly, relatively speaking, difference in height for the tower. It gives the look down angle, so the controller should be, when they're looking at approaching traffic, you don't want to look at it like the aircraft are coming at you. You want to be able to be looking down. And that's the issue that we have. The look down angle with the existing tower doesn't work. So it's not that much difference in terms of where it's located. It's just a much different height.
Thank you.
Sure. If I could ask just a question, it may be a little bit more difficult for us from a commitment standpoint to be able to say to the FAA, this is what we have and this is what we think it's going to grow to be. If it sounds like that pot of money is going to grow with the investments to that amount, that's just the mechanism of getting to the $2 million. Would it still be reasonable to say that the commissioners say, if this is what the desire is, we would commit to $2 million. The mechanism would be putting that money into a way to be able to get the investment to get to that point. I don't think the FAA or anybody else is going to have a concern about how we get to the 2 million. I think it would just be clearer for them to say, this is what the county's commitment is, would be that $2 million or approximately.
I think that's
Mr.
what
Chair.
we agreed to.
Okay.
I think that's what we agreed to, is that we would let that grow until we got to that point, and then we would supplement whatever was remaining to get us to that. Did I misunderstand?
No, exactly. That's a good point to make, the minutia. Is, I'm addressing the mechanics and you're addressing the thought. And I think that was my intention, is we commit, but this is how we get there without too much pain.
Yeah, so just to clarify, your ask was $2 million. The county is committing the money that they have to allow it to grow to get to that $2 million point.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions from us?
I don't, unless you have other questions for myself or the airport board members.
I don't think so.
Good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Rob, it's strange seeing you on the other end of the table.
Could I have a couple of minutes of time?
You can. Going from the air to the road?
Yeah,
Okay.
I am, as a matter of fact. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Rob Hendry, I'm a rancher and a contractor out in the west end of this county. Hi, guys. No, I'm not going to take up much time. I just want you to start thinking about this winter. Mike has got 6 guys that are operators. And his own words, he needs 12. I think he needs 16. But the winter's coming. And he's got 6 guys. So I would urge you to think out of the box. Tracy will probably throw something at me, but pay every 2 weeks. I mean, see, I don't. Maybe a sign-up bonus, 1 month's sign-up bonus, just something. We need help. And Mike needs help. We need help on these roads, and you just haven't got enough guys. You really don't. Now, it's hard to find them, so that's why you got to think out of the box. I'm trying to find one in construction out there, and it's tough. I just gave my guys a $4 an hour raise so that I could hire somebody where I needed to hire them. And it's going to be tough, but I'd urge you to think out of the box. I mean, Commissioner Laird, you said last year in April, we got to fix this so it doesn't happen again.
I agree.
Now's the time. And get with Mike and figure out something. He just needs operators. He's got, 7 blades and 3 cats? You might have to drive them all, and he's got 6 guys. So, anyway, that was all I had.
We had him come in here at last meeting just specifically for that, so we're planning ahead.
Right.
But I agree, we need to find, you can have all the equipment in the world, but if you don't have the people to operate it, it doesn't do us any good. So,
Right. And it's tough. I mean, I was plowing out there at Waldman, both sides of the road on the county road to get the oil guys in, but they were paying.
What are you doing this winter?
Yeah. I'm not looking for a job, but I am going to try to keep that road open for that oil company. And I bought another 6-wheel drive blade so I can get her done. Used one. But anyway, thanks for looking at it, and we're going to need the help.
Rob, have you got any other suggestions?
Well, the 2 that I mentioned, no, well, wages are going to have to go up.
To what?
Well, the average is 26, 27 bucks. And you can't start them out that way, but then your employees that are there are going to have to make that if you start somebody out that way. But it's just, maybe the sign-up bonus, I think that he did miss a couple of operators that might have been pretty good, but they couldn't wait a month for us out for a paycheck. So that's where I came up with maybe a sign-on bonus of a month. But just something to get somebody up there and get them in those machines.
No, I agree. We definitely need to get fully staffed, and we need to make sure, at least we've got some new equipment
Yeah.
either coming or,
Well, you got the best equipment in the world.
you
you know.
know, we got some two new V plows coming.
Yeah.
We got the dozer that we were renting, and now we've also got another grader that's coming. So,
Yeah.
hopefully that will help.
And those are good. And I hope we don't have that kind of winter. I really don't.
But that's the problem. We never know.
Never know.
Yeah,
Thank
if
you,
it does-
Mr.
Might
Chairman.
have
Thank
a
you.
worse one. Might have a worse one too.
Could have. Bite your tongue, sir.
I know.
Sounds like the glass
Thank
is
you.
half full. Sky is falling.
Tracy will get right on that, I'm sure. Thank you,
Weekly
Mr. Chair.
paychecks.
So you think we
Thank
need to
you.
hire 10 people? Is that what you're saying?
Well, if he's got 6 now, he likes to have 12. So you need some more people. You need 6 people. And I can't talk for Mike. I didn't talk to him. I think he's hunting somewhere.
He is.
Yeah. So I wasn't able to talk to him,
He's
but
out there on your ranch.
that's fine. We'll catch him somewhere. But, I don't know exactly how he's figured it, but I did talk to Travis and he said 5 originally, and then he said, well, no, wait a minute, 6. So that means he needs 6 people. And I really think he needs more than that. Like I said, he's got a lot of county. He really does. And the roads are not all that great a shape going into the winter.
No. Well,
So.
the highway departments, they can't even.
They're the same, well, the highway department's down 300
Yeah,
in
they can't even
DOT.
hire enough people to run snow plows.
So they're gonna have to think out of the box too.
Yeah, it's gonna be, it's,
And
COVID hit, it did a lot more damage than people realize.
it really did. It really did. And 300 people down in DOT, we saw what the roads were like. I think 2026 was closed more this winter than all of my life.
Yeah.
And then the main highways, 2020, or I-25 and all of them. And they just didn't have enough people to throw at it. And granted, it was a terrible winter. Awful.
So what do you think we have to offer them an hour then?
Well, you've got to talk to Danielle but it's really tough to find anybody at 24. But then you've got benefits that I don't have. And that helps you.
But you're thinking 26 an hour plus benefits?
Those other guys that you're working now, you can't hire somebody on at 24 and the other guys out there paying getting
Right.
23.
Right.
So you're going to have to raise everybody up and then get somebody hired. So that's a Danielle question, and that's up to you guys. But we need the help.
So we should start right now looking for people.
Oh, yeah, yesterday. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting me do that.
Okay, I want to take a real quick moment so Pat can go back to his office if he wants, but this is Pat, our new building official, so those of you you all met him, but you met him on TV, so go ahead and come on up here.
We talked to him a little earlier and I got to see his tank and I got to see him fire the tank on his phone. And it was pretty powerful deal to watch.
Nice, nice. So I didn't know if you had an opportunity to meet everybody in person yet, but figured I'd have you come in here and put a face to a name and ask any questions that we have of you or you have of us.
Okay.
Anybody?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner, please.
thank you. I wasn't able to meet you before, so it was a Zoom call when I met you. So welcome to Wyoming, welcome to Casper, and
Thank you.
glad to have you working for the county.
Thank you.
Commissioner North?
Glad to have you on board.
Commissioner Milne?
I did even less than Peter. I was on the one on the telephone on the Zoom call. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
If you need any help, any of us will do what we can to give you assistance or whatever, so please
appreciate
don't
it.
hesitate.
I was out touring out there at BB Brooks today, so.
Getting right in there, all right. Yeah, if you got any questions or anything you need along the way, just holler at us and And,
Oh, I'll definitely take you up on that.
yep, we'll help you out any way we can. And, have you met Heather yet?
Yes, we did. We did yesterday. Yeah.
Okay, and Tracy.
Hi. I just saw the top of your head. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
So, all right,
Okay,
appreciate you coming down.
okay.
Thank you.
Have a
See ya.
good one. I went in his office and I went to Vancouver here a couple of weeks ago and there's a tank sitting out there. So I took a picture of me in the tank and I took it in and showed him. He knew exactly with the tank. He knew that it was an English tank and what size the gun was. And then he pulled out a picture of his tank and it fired off. And I'd really never been even that close to a tank, but boy, that was powerful to watch that. Yeah. 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 You mentioned that. I think I am going to do that at some point.
All right, next thing on Commissioner Around the Table, Lisa's here from the library, and is requesting I'll let you come up here and tell us in your own words what exactly you're requesting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. So I was here the other day and we were visiting about a request that I had given you. But I think that I really undersold the importance of this grant application that I am submitting. So we have the opportunity to submit an application that could potentially be about 25% of the project that we had proposed to you. And that application for the grant, the deadline is Monday. And because our project is larger than the potential award, the total package that they have to offer is 12.6. Our project is a little north of that. Because of that, our application needs to have an accompanying letter from you guys, letter from the commission, that is a commitment to help the library and the Library Foundation secure funding should we receive a grant award. Because the award committee is likely to not consider an application for a project that they think has no support from their county commission. So I just really can't stress enough. This is an opportunity to make an application and just see where that application goes. It goes nowhere without a support letter from you. But with the support letter from you, there's a potential that the grant application will go to the committee and receive some amount of an award. And so that is what I want to make sure that you heard, that I know that I did not articulate when I was with you the other day. And then the other thing is, so when I've had some conversations with people in the community, and not everybody understands exactly everything a library does. So yeah, we are a literacy center with books. And for some people, that's kind of what they think of. But really, as your community, as your county library, we are a place where a lot of people turn to when they need help. We have people who are business owners or entrepreneurs that need help launching or promoting, and the library has resources for that. So we have databases. We Commissioner Laird asked last time I was here about the video and the podcasting. We have a lot of resources that can help promote business success, and that includes people looking for jobs. So when people are looking for jobs and they need help, I mean, today's market, I don't know how the guy who was sitting here before me, he was new. I don't know. Did he apply online? Did he send you? Did he upload a resume? Because that's kind of how the world works today. And for a lot of people, they can navigate that. But for a lot of people, they can't. And that's what the library does, is we help people navigate what is otherwise maybe a barrier to securing a job. So between helping job seekers and businesses, we're helping promote business and a healthy economy. We help with literacy, whether that's digital literacy or information literacy, or, there's a lot of different kinds of literacy, adult literacy, kindergarten readiness. We do all of those things. We circulate things like Wi-Fi hotspots, because we know connectivity is important. We're working with putting in telehealth, because we knew through COVID, people didn't have access to health care. So I'm just telling you all that because that's why that's what we do for our community. But I think it's also important to say But I think it's also important to say, why do we need a new library? Because I know I put together this huge packet of information, and I'm sorry if I overwhelmed you with all of that. It was a lot of information to dive through, and I get that. But our building is old. And you were talking about the airport a minute ago, and you have old infrastructure and old buildings there. The newest part of our building is over 50 years old. The oldest part is over 70 years old. We have things crumbling. We have pipes. We have, I've got a maintenance guy who says he went to go put a windowsill back in, and it's like a marble slab windowsill. So he has to drill down to hit where he can get to something. And he said, I got the longest bit I could. I never hit anything. I've just got the Gorilla Glue and put that sucker back on, because you do what you've got to do, right? It looks good, because I'm going to tell you, I've got a great guy who takes care of it and keeps it looking good. But it is literally, it is in bad shape. So I can tell you it's in bad shape, but that report tells you it was in critical failure 10 years ago, and it didn't get better. And all I'm asking you for today is, I would love to see you do a letter of commitment that says that the Natrona County Board of Commissioners will commit to supporting the library in this application, and that should we move forward with the project, to working with the library and the Library Foundation to secure funding. I'm not asking you today to give a dollar figure or where it's going to come from. I'm not looking for the mechanism right now. I'm looking for the opportunity to see where this application goes. Because I think we've got a solid project we're going to present. And I think we're going to come back with a pretty hefty award. And at that point, we can sit down and discuss what now.
Lisa, I'll tell you, my concern with putting a letter behind that is that a letter of commitment is just that we're committing that this project's going to happen. And without having any more money in place than what's coming from that grant and whatever is raised by the foundation itself, puts this county on the hook for the remaining balance. The other thing is, you apply for the grant, and let's say you get awarded $10 million. That's got a time frame on it of which you have to use that money. And so again, it puts the county back under the gun to not only hit that timeline, but come up with the funds. I did talk to John Griffiths about a week ago, and he told me that there are other avenues that were not discussed in here in the last meeting for fundraising efforts to raise more money for this. So that's a concern too, that we have other, it's a concern, but it's also a good thing, because if you do have those, then there are other areas of which money could be raised, but we don't know what those are, and we haven't had those discussions yet. And I guess the final comment that I would have is that in the proposal, there was a comment that was made in there that the city of Casper, you've had a conversation with them to where it said that as long as we commit, then step one, in my opinion, step one of trying to figure out where you can't even really go to an architect and say, make me a drawing and let's get this process rolling on what the future library is going to look like when you don't even know where you're going to build it at. And you haven't even got step one done. So I'm not saying I'm against it, but I personally think there's a lot of carts being put before the horse here, and I'm not one that wants to put my stamp of approval on something that's going to put this county in a commitment to come up with millions of dollars that frankly we just don't have right now. Anybody else? Commissioner Nicholas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do share a concern that we are not ready today to commit to $30 million or $3 million. I get that. I think that that's a longer term, discussion and evaluation. And I think that's going to involve, various people. And I would say as the library liaison that the building, based upon my review of I've looked at the facility report a couple times, I've looked at the fire department, basically red tag a couple times, or that whole pile of documents. And I think that the existing structure is beyond remodeling, renovation, and repair. I think there is a plan for the building to be built in a particular known location. I think that some things have to happen, and it's going to take some time to break ground on that particular dirt. But the foundation does own land right now. The library does have an address to use, being its own address over on Second Street. My thinking is that we're not being asked to commit either now or in the future to come up with $30 million. I think that the wording, and I've talked with Lisa about this in particular, that the wording needs to be, the wording is important here. And what we're not saying is we are committed to funding X dollars or Y percentage of the library building. We're committed to working with the library and the library foundation to secure funding.
Yes, sir.
That could mean not a dime from the county. Now, actually, I think we have a statutory duty to make sure that we provide a library to our community. And we are going to, I think, be substantially invested in a new library building. And it's not if, it's when. And I think that the right worded letter does not get us into any sort of commitment other than we're going to do everything we can to work with the library folks. So I think that it's important to not miss this deadline of Monday, the 9th. I think that a letter of support properly worded would be appropriate. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Laird.
I agree with virtually everything Mr. Nicolason has said. I think if we get a properly worded document, our county attorney looks at it, everybody takes a look at it, we got to make step one somewhere. And I agree. I don't want to reiterate anything he said. I agree with it all in terms of where we are with 30 million right now. I have a little different view of, everybody has a different view of money and the power of money. I'm not one who likes to see it in a dark place down deep in somebody's vault where they're making all the money and sprinkling us with a few seeds of interest, pats us on the back and tell us how great they are. I like to see bricks and mortar, and I want to see a beautiful city and have a beautiful buildings and to what we can afford. It's always about what we can afford. So I would like to give you, I would like to see you get this letter, and I do agree with what the chairman has said as well. We don't want to have something hung on us that maybe we can't do at some point in time. But I think the more we battle this and the more we get this rolling and get a step one going where at least you can go ask the government for money, we can see where that goes, and we can make further decisions. And I think a letter can be composed that doesn't put a ball and chain on us. I think legally we can do that. And I hope we do that because I know you have this deadline.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That's my view.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner.
Commissioner Mill.
Don't really want to jump on the Me Too train, but I'm going to. I think that Peter's idea of a properly worded letter, not showing necessarily that we're going to bankroll it, but that we do support the project, is a good starting point. Right now, it's trying to get everybody lined up and pointing the same direction, and so this is one of the first steps. If the letter did show financial commitment beyond just what the wording that Peter was talking about, I couldn't support it. But because there's too many variables, I don't know. But I believe to see where we can work with the state, whoever, if we have that commitment letter out there, that opens up further doors for the library to move forward.
So just to play devil's advocate here, you write a letter of support and Lisa's successful in getting the grant. And you got time constraints put on that. Where is the rest of that money going to come from? Because that is going to come back to us.
Right, and like I said, that, with that commitment, it does open up further doors that the funding that they may be able to secure may further open other doors. And honestly, if it can't be done, then the money goes back and, you know, we're still where we're at.
And can I speak to that as well? So according to the grant, from my understanding, and I could dive a little deeper and actually give you a maybe more clear, not off the top of the head, but a more clear written information about the grant. So with the timeline, yes, if we receive the grant, it starts a timeline, and you have to have a certain amount completed. It does not have to be the entire project. So we're pitching an entire new building, and they realize that this is not going to build, even if we got the full 12.6, that's not going to build our new building. We just have to have a prorated portion of that. So it could be done theoretically in stages. So I've talked to a couple of people who know so much. I know about libraries, I don't know about construction. So I've talked to people who know about construction, and they assure me that you could design a facility that could be completed in stages. And maybe you have stage one completed and it is open for business, so to speak. Maybe we do some remote programs there that fulfill the needs of the grant, which is to offer work opportunities to improve workforce, education, and health monitoring. That's what we have to be doing in that spot. Doesn't have to be the entire project. Just has to be a prorated portion of the project.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Miller.
Lisa, I probably asked this before, but please humor me. The grant, if you receive it, will any of it be able to be used for design, architectural, or does it have to be used for concrete work?
It's for the entire project, is my understanding. So it is for architectural and design, and it just depends
So
on.
that could be part of the percentage of completeness, or not?
Yes, but the percentage of completeness is you have to be substantially completed to the point where you can be offering some kind of, something that's promoting those services.
Okay.
Right? So it's either that you could have it completed and be doing services in a portion of the building, or maybe it is completed and that's where we warehouse things that are used to promote services in the current building. I mean, so there's a lot of room for interpretation of what substantial completion means.
Could be part of the garage for the bus mobiles. but-
That actually has been a very firm discussion. It has been.
Mr. Chairman, I had a brief comment.
Okay, I think we got three of you here. So Commissioner Nicolason first, and then I'll come back to you.
Okay.
Commissioner Laird, was your question long or?
It's just short. It's just a statement more than anything.
Then go ahead and then I'll get
Okay,
into my.
thank you. I want to make this clear too. My support is this, and I've said it before, I'm for a library, but I'm not for putting a tax on the people. And I want that to be clear because we're going to have, this gets in the press, you know, that we're going to be here, and so you're going to build this new deal and you're going to put a tax on us. And I am not for putting a tax on us, a new tax. Now,
Right.
what could happen down the years, I have no idea. But I'm hoping this can get worked out without taxing any of our people.
And I'm actually glad that you mentioned that, Mr. Commissioner, because we've heard the voters before. We got really, really close. Before I even moved to Casper, my predecessor got really, really close in a 6 penny initiative, right? But really close as a no. And we heard, I mean, I like to say, we heard the voters at that time. And I am really hopeful that we can do this without a tax as well. I agree with you.
Thank you.
Commissioner North.
Lisa, and I've expressed this to you, so it's not going to be anything new. I think we are currently overextended. We've got a health department that we have $9 million that's over budget that we still have to figure out where we're going to pay for that. We don't have them moved with a new position, location for the library is going to be is all dependent on that. And so that puts us 3 years down the road. Logistically speaking, I just see a lot of problems with this right now, and with the money that we have sitting out there that we have to come up with, and the expenses that are coming up. I'm just nervous about it at this particular time. And it's not saying that we don't need a new library. That's not it at all. But I think the timing is really poor right now. And I can't commit this commission, to the kind of funding that we're looking at in the future right now.
Right.
I just don't see, I think there's things that we can do in the future that we can have those funding set aside and we can work forward to it, but I just don't think this is the right time for us to do it, so.
Commissioner Nicholas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't want to suggest that the taxpayers are going to bear the burden of a new tax for this project. Like Commissioner Laird, what happens in, years down the road is beyond our control. But I guess if you don't ask, you're not going to get it. And I think that if we know one thing about this community, it's how generous it is and how remarkable it is in terms of when we're goal oriented, we can get things done. And I don't know what the answer is, Mr. Chairman, back to your question in terms of funding this, but I do know that if we say no to the letter of support, we're saying no to this particular pot of money that could be substantial. If we're awarded that, we have some serious discussions moving forward with, okay, what now? And I think the county needs to be a part of those discussions and needs to support it at some significant level. So I don't have the answer, but I'm not willing, I don't feel we as a commission should say no today. I think we should say, yeah, we are going to do everything we can to make this happen because we know we need it. And I understand what Commissioner North's saying too, in terms of having a lot of things on our plate right now, including in construction capital projects. But again, I think that there are a number of different things we can do, both on the private side, but also as a government body to take this step and then move forward and take the next step. So thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
I just hope that the project takes on a really healthy life of its own.
Me too. I think with this, if we move forward with the grant, that gives us an opportunity to start a pretty robust capital campaign.
Heather, do I need to have a motion made during a regular meeting as to whether to support this or not, or is that something that can be done here?
Mr. Chairman, you can give us some general direction. Do you want us to try to put a letter together and then circulate that to you?
Well, it seems to me that we're under the gun. You've got until Monday to apply.
Yes, sir.
So we have what's left of this week. But if we have to vote on it at some point in time, then
It would have to be at
it
the
would have to
meeting.
be today or a special meeting.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Nicholas?
We've done letters of support before for a variety of things, for a variety of grant applications, and it seems like we'd have enough letters to work from that our staff, that Michelle could draft a letter at least for our review and consideration tonight, and then get potentially get to a level of comfort with the wording tonight, and then get an agreement on it.
I do think that it needs to be reviewed by our county attorney too, as well. What you, Mr. Nicholas?
Yeah, that would be absolutely part of the process.
The one thing I want to make sure is that we are not making a financial commitment at this time in the letter. That's one thing. It's one thing to make a support, says you can apply for the grant, but I want to make sure that that is something that we spell out very specifically, is that this does not commit this commission or this county to a financial commitment.
And so yes, sir. And so what I'm hoping that it will say is that you're committed to working with the library and the Library Foundation to secure funding, which is not committing you to do anything other than to help us secure funding. Like, we may apply for another grant, and it may require a letter from you, a letter of support or something.
Let's get the letter and then we can all look at it
Awesome.
quickly, and sounds, the way you worded it, I think we'll come up with the right wording.
I
There's
have
certain
every
ways to
confidence
word
that you will.
things that, you know,
Okay, so if I'm hearing the commission correctly, we can go ahead and draft a letter up of support, and we'll review it and then move forward from there. Is that what I'm hearing?
that's what I'm hearing.
Okay.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. I'll come back to Commissioner Roundtable for each individual commissioner. Being Nick's here, we'll have him come up and.
What?
How's the audit going?
How's the audit going? I'm still getting information ready for it. Doesn't start, I have to have information to him Monday. But I haven't got my treasure report out yet. But I think we have a grace period till Thursday. That's what I found out. So,
Well, Nick, we have you here for the state funding
yeah,
discussion.
the ad valorem loan. Invest the ad valorem money.
Yes.
Yes.
So I think, is this discussion, we set this up to, we need to have get a committee in place to make a decision on where the funding's going, correct?
We know what the interest rates are, different groups, just pick the highest interest yield and go.
I thought we originally said we were gonna have a committee put together to make the financial decisions as to where it went, and we also put an RFP together.
Mr. Chairman, are these two separate things? Is the state funding piece what Commissioner Milne was talking about in regard to the airport control tower?
Right. It's separate from the
And
other.
The 100 million, 95 million hospital funds,
Separate.
and whether we do an investment committee or whether we do just go straight into an RFP, and then what the RFP looks like. I think we ought to talk about that today, but maybe we deal with the ad valorem first and the airport thing first.
Okay.
So
Glad we had two separate things. Well, we do have two separate things going on here. I was just on the wrong one.
So I'm not ready to talk about the RFP hospital funds yet.
Okay.
That's in process. I haven't reviewed, Heather sent me that RFP. I haven't had time to review it. I won't have time to review it till after the next Monday.
Okay.
Then I can,
One, I think the big piece on that is that we need to get that committee going, though. We need to figure who's going to sit in on that committee, so when the RFP does go out, we're ready with whoever's going to be in that group. So that's the only piece of that discussion for today. As far as the state funding that we have in place, we've agreed today to commit, is it 1.1 million?
yeah.
We want to put that we don't have to pay back until 2035.
Yeah, December 15, 2035.
Yep. So we'd like to put that, just as Commissioner Mill was just saying, into the highest yield that we
Right,
can.
and as of today, well, the highest yield I found is wild class at 5.38, WGIF is 5.33. And that would be, they're both be set up in separate accounts for tracking purposes. And if you gave me the title of the account number, I could tell Tom, that way it's committed for your, whatever you're gonna use it for, the airport or whatever.
Are you talking And speaking of Tom, the treasurer, he said that wouldn't be that big of a problem to set up a separate named account with either company.
Yeah, he would have to do the transfer out of the
Right.
treasurer general bank account.
So Nick, what is the amount, the current principal amount?
It is, $1,164,831. And we'll be paying that back starting December 15th, 2023 at 93,186 per year. And the last payment will be December 15, 2035.
So Nick and commissioners, does it make sense to put all 1.164 million into one or to split it between those since the yield is pretty close? What are we doing or what would be recommended?
I'd recommend we just put it all in one and leave it alone.
I would defer to the treasurer myself if he wants to put it into one. If it's 5.3 to either one, if it's apples to apples, then I defer to the treasurer. Let him, he's the one that's going to be, over it. Let him decide who's easiest way to handle that money. That's my suggestion.
I would agree with Commissioner Mellon. I mean, you're the subject matter expert. I don't think any of us are up here, so.
Okay.
What is your suggestion?
Well, I would go with the highest yield Wyoming class. That's where we have that cash reserve right now also, and it's doing pretty good. That Wyoming class keeps going up every month. As the WGIF has been though too, so they're both about the same.
Commissioner Laird?
I think there's more liquidity in Wyoming class if you ever wanted to pull it, if, you saw that it was starting to tank like Wildstar did. I think that's the advantage over WGIF that I'm aware of, liquidity, and I'm not real familiar with their liquidity.
And they're like a .03 higher than the other, than Wild Class?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
The thing about it is we don't need it until April 1st available until April 1st of 2025. So that's the reason why I'm saying if we could get something that, and I know right now the short-term bonds and certificates are paying a lot higher than the longer term, so it doesn't matter to me, just whatever we can get the most interest off, so we don't have to
Okay.
come up with any additional funding or minimal additional funding.
Commissioner Laird?
Talk with Tom.
Matters to me the most. Is it the money saved?
Dallas.
Yes, we've all established that through all the different presentations and,
I mean,
I'll
is the
say-
money safe?
yes.
Or
very
you're
safe.
not gonna come in here and say, oh, this thing happened, this Wildstar happened, God, we had to jerk it out, we lost 800,000. Make me sick and vomit if that happens again.
Well, that's why I said that they've discussed, Troy explained the liquidity. They have more than enough in there to cover if you wanted to pull out. We're not gonna have that problem like Wildstar.
But
If
is
you wanted
there
to
any
pull
other
out.
insurance on it? Is there, like,
Oh.
if you buy a,
He explained that also. I'd have to look back into his
if you buy a
presentation.
government treasury bond, we're not gonna lose the money.
No, yeah, he said it was all government-backed securities that they were insured by.
Well, I would really like to have that locked in and seen in writing somewhere that I can see it, the rest of
Okay.
the commission can see it. I do have a question, Mr. Chairman, on dealing with this money from the sale of a hospital, when you're talking about a committee, shouldn't just the whole commission be the committee on that kind of money? And I do really think hiring an expert to just give us some advice is helpful here. I mean, we're all doing the best we can, but there's expertise levels that go far beyond what we know. I wouldn't mind paying them just a little bit of money on this so that sometime down the line, we don't have to hear about any real problems that we didn't understand or overlooked, or we didn't have the expertise to understand all the shifts and gears and everything of the project. That's just my feeling.
Commissioner Nicholas?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, I agree with Commissioner Laird in that it might be prudent to hire a professional investment services outfit and pay them for their expertise and to act as our fiduciary. But coming back to this discussion before we talk about investment committee, just so we can make sure we're clear and Nick's clear, I think he's being authorized to invest it in one of these companies that you're comfortable with and that's going to give us a safe return. And we'll start building that you're going to earmark it in the treasurer's office
And a
as,
separate account, have a separate line item like I do with all the other investments.
and it's going to reference Natrona County Airport Control.
See, yeah, and that's with the title. I would like you to send me an email with that title that you want the account called. Then we'll set it up with that account name.
Okay. I think that's pretty straightforward.
Yep.
I will say, Mr. Chairman, at the convention, I talked to that lady who gave the presentation. I don't have her card on me. The guy was on the TV screen and she was
Joan.
here. You know who I'm talking about, Jim?
Joan,
And
Wyoming Investments.
she had some good things to say about understanding this investment that quite frankly, I just don't understand. And she said she would come here and speak to us. They could even be hired to be our person. And I don't know, maybe you guys aren't as confused about it as I am, but I'm confused about it, and I'm worried because of, I think, just the way I was raised of being really careful with other people's money.
Well, Commissioner Laird, I think we can have that discussion as far as the committee later on when, as we get closer to that. The only thing I would comment on that is that there's probably 5 people in the room that certainly will come up and tell you everything you want to hear about them managing our money, but that's because that's what they want to do is manage our money. So,
When you're rummaging through all the RFPs, you'll come across their qualifications and if they are experts during that time.
exactly where I was headed with that. That's why you have an RFP process, so we
Right.
can sit down and go through it. The committee can go through it, decide who they're going to hire on and who they're going to have help make decisions on where your money goes. Not 10 people in a room trying to win your business. So,
Right.
I agree with that.
yep. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Nick, I will get you an email with the name on it.
Okay.
I would assume that we can just go off of the way it was listed in this brief by the airport today, that just names the tower.
So my suggestion is maybe to add the year, the end date, and then also where we got it from for future commission reference. Nick may win the lottery and nobody knows what is going on at that point, and none of us do. So, say what?
By the date.
Yeah, so like the 2035 Wyoming State, land, whatever it was.
Okay. The source of the
The source of the funds, the end date of the loan, and then where it's committed to is the Natrona County, traffic tower. Something like that.
It's between the chairman and legal counsel and Nick, we can get the title right, so there's proper references.
Yeah. But that way, when we're gone, when he's gone, everybody's gone.
State will still be here and want their money back, so I'm sure they'll
Yeah,
remind us as we
exactly.
go. So,
Try to think of future commissions.
all right. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, and so we have like about 5 minutes left before we get to Heather, so we're gonna use these last 5 minutes, so that's a 1 minute per. So if you have anything around the table, this is time to do it. So Commissioner Laird.
Very quickly, I went to the Revenue Committee meeting of the state legislature. It's a very beautiful building. I hadn't been in that new music auditorium up at Casper College. But don't make me laugh. I'm running out of time. They really are confused about what to do here with the taxes. I will tell you, if that gets put back online, they hired a couple guys they paid $48,000 to give them a rundown on property taxes, which was, I thought, like oatmeal with no sugar on it. But then Cindy Barlow gets up there and said, we told him, you wasted this 48,000. And she put on a presentation that was brilliant and will educate you if you watch it. And you will learn a lot about the taxes and how many billions they're really getting out of these assessments that they didn't even understand. I was really proud of her, and it was very enlightening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Man, minute and 1 second. Commissioner North.
I was also at the Revenue Committee yesterday, and one thing that I was very pleased to see was that the committee was very receptive to a lot of the things that were brought up. And they were looking at different things. They're looking at different options, and I think they all understand very clearly that we've got to do something to modify how we're assessing our property so that people on fixed incomes are protected a little bit, and so that people don't have such a high increase in their property rates every year. So that's one thing. The second thing is that they had a meeting for the state shooting complex over in Riverton on Tuesday, and we should have some guidelines as far as what they're actually looking from that committee by the end of this month. And hopefully that will make it a little bit easier for each of the counties, including Natrona County, to come up with a game plan on what, when, and where, and how to do things. So we'll see how that goes.
Commissioner Mill.
I'm good.
Commissioner Nicolason. I know you can't have his minute.
Okay. Tim Shank, our owner's rep, is planning on sending us a written monthly report, and then seeing us or being available to meet with us every other month. When things start heating up, then it would turn into a monthly or even more regular than that. So that's just an FYI, what kind of he thought would be appropriate at this point. I do think that the investment policy, the investment RFP, and the investment committee should be on our front burner. And Heather sent a draft RFP for us to look at. And I don't think we should linger or delay on figuring out whether we like that investment policy. So hopefully we can get back to her ASAP. I know I've made a few notes. Horse racing, I still think we have a blanket horse racing authorization out there. And so Heather, if you can look into that, I know we rescinded one of them, but my understanding is that there might be another one still out there. And I know Michelle and I were talking about it some time ago, and it seems like some additional, I guess, getting to the bottom of that would be appropriate. That's all I have.
Okay, I had CNFR committee yesterday, meeting, and nothing really has changed too much. They're in the planning process for next year already. Ticket sales were up like 8% this year, so it's been the biggest year yet. And more things that getting added to it as that the Wyoming Sports Ranch comes on board. They're already having discussions with them of extending exhibits over to that building itself and adding more people on. So there's a lot going on up there right now with infrastructure, tying that new building into utilities and whatnot. And then the grounds themselves, they're overhauling a bunch of stuff up there. Talked to Tom Poplik from facilities yesterday morning after during the department head meeting, the structure up at the jail itself. They looked at that roof. It's not. They talked to the architect that originally put that together. He has reviewed a lot of the diagrams, and he's not concerned about there being any structural issues with that ceiling. It is not going to fall in. Off of some of the snow loads that we had last year, that could have very well caused some of those welds to break, but however, he's saying it's just a simple go back in and re-weld and fix. So it's not as bad as what it was said to be. So with that being said, that's all I have, and we'll turn it over to Heather now for legal.
One question.
Oh, no, we won't. We'll give it back to Commissioner Milne.
Just real quick. Just a question. Those welds they're going to be certified or inspected released, right? They're going to be welds?
Yeah, and actually, the recommendation, because that guy's not here, he's just going off of what was provided to him, but they are going to have a local structural engineer go back in and look at it, is my understanding, and then the recommendation is just to re-weld and reinforce those breaks that have taken place.
We had a long conversation about that this morning. And the re-weld is still out there, but they are looking at a way to stabilize that roof one way or another. And it may or may not include welding. But the engineers said that the roof is currently stable. But they're just looking at a way to reinforce what may or may not have been done correctly the first time that it was constructed.
And that reinforcement would probably include every pot up there, so it is going to be a lengthy fix, but it shouldn't be too expensive to fix like we
I
thought.
might add, Mr. Chairman, they did say that on those welds, they weren't even called for in the regular plans. And the guy down in Phoenix did not authorize that, but apparently the contractor that came in put in these vertical wells, and I don't quite understand all the terminology, but they may or may not need them, but they can redo them. The bigger problem was they built those big hot water heaters without a floor drain, and now they got to go in and tear all this concrete, and he thinks it may take a year to get a lot of this stuff fixed, including the building behind us with the bathrooms and everything that may take a year to all be fixed. It was kind of mind-boggling when I listened to it.
Okay, Heather?
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I sent out a proposed draft for an amendment to the federal procurement policy that we have for federal projects. Really, the most significant change I tried to highlight for you was the inclusion of the domestic preference for procurements, and then just did some formatting. So we're asking that be approved at the meeting tonight, and if you have any questions on it, I'll try to answer it.
Anybody have any questions on the policy?
Say, can you say that one more time?
Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, so.
I was listening, but I didn't like, what?
So what I added that was substantial or substantive was, it's on page 12, and it's section 11, and it's domestic preference for procurements. And that is something that we didn't have in there previously that we do need, and we're wanting to get that approved this evening. We'd like to have this in place before the audit commences, because this is something that we're required to have.
Does it meet the statutory requirements?
Yep, so the language that's in our policy came directly out of the CFR that applies there, so yes, it does.
Okay. All right. That answers my question.
Okay.
Is
No
that all you
questions?
had? No.
Okay, so then Lita and I also have another matter to discuss with you, and then we do have an executive session item as well.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm going to need to move due to the microphone issues that I attempted to fix, but that did not work out so well. So I just wanted to bring back before you all the 3 ISDs and that we discussed last time that you all wanted some more due diligence on. And so in your consent agenda packet, we have, I'll start with the Brandt Gothberg, just because alphabetical order. So what would be in front of you tonight would be the resolution initiating dissolution of Brandt Gothberg. Now, what I added into the new resolution was that the resolution initiating was posted on the website on 9/21, and that the Casper Star Tribune, it ran on 9/28, and I sent letters to the property owners. They went out on 9/22. And we did not hear anything back. So that's the Brent Gothberg, and this would be the first, I guess, initiation, and then in 30 days, by 30 days, there'll be another step.
Commissioner Nicolason.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I appreciate that, but what I was hoping you could do is go out there with a sign asking for more comment. No, thank you.
One of those sandwich boards?
Yeah, no, thank you for doing further
Sure.
diligence on all of these.
So that would be the Brant Gothberg. And next in alphabetical order is Clear Fork. Now, Clear Fork ISD was the ISD that did their own, what they believed, and they did a good job for being a non-lawyer, their own dissolution in July of 2022. And that's fine. However, I did go back pursuant to your request and I sent a letter to the 6 property owners on 9/22. I did not hear anything. So this would, signing this evening would then dissolve Clear Fork. And then with respect to Full Speed, now Full Speed is represented by Mr. Holscher. And he's been made aware, and I sent a letter to I believe it's the 2 property owners, the last one had 6, to them on 9/22 as well, and I emailed the attorney. And they know that it's coming. And I added that language in the resolution, all the dates and what we did for notice. And the last one we have is Hidden Valley. And I don't believe that was before you last time. What I need to do is still get out those letters and to notify all the property owners. I just need to get the information. And that's what we have for ISDs.
And Hidden Valley is not part of tonight's.
It is not. I was just
Yeah, okay.
letting you all know.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Milne.
with the increase in visibility of those notifications and whatnot, did you receive any further communications from anybody?
I did not. No response to the newspaper, the county website, or the letters.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. You want me to talk about the real property next? Okay. Well, Heather knows the background of this.
So we're trying to work on a policy for selling the county's real property, the parcels we've acquired. We're still working on it. I guess some questions that we had, it appears that Charmaine, sometime earlier this year, had come up with a process that I don't think the commission really cared for, so we were trying to go back to see what we could do to change it. And it looked to us like perhaps the commission wanted more public notice, I guess, that these parcels were going to be put out for sale. So what we were thinking was posting a notice online, publishing a notice, but then we need a little direction about accepting bids, whether or not we want to accept sealed bids, set a deadline to get these, whether this is an ongoing process, or we're just going to try to condense it into a shorter time frame. And then with respect to valuing the parcels, I think the city, the way that they handle it is they have appraisals done. I think they're done in-house, but they're having appraisals done to value the parcels that they sell. I guess we need to determine how we're going to value the county parcels, whether we're going to have an appraisal done or have the assessor's office maybe provide some type of value. I guess we just want some direction from you as to how to proceed with that.
As far as the city goes, I do know that they do appraisals on all their property, but I don't know how they would be doing that in-house. They have to be paying for those outside. But I think we look at whatever process they're using, it obviously works. So I would follow that. And then the other question was as far as the bid process itself,
Well,
sealed bids or?
Yeah, would you like us to publish and accept sealed bids at a certain deadline, and then we open them and then accept the highest offer? Is that kind of the process you're thinking that you'd like? Or is there something else maybe that we could do instead, I guess?
Commissioner Mill?
Heather, I've got a question for you real quick on that. The notice, is there any statutory requirements on those giving what type of notices or anything like that?
Not that the county has to provide. We could model the notice after what the city does, which is pretty detailed. I don't think I could send you an example of what that language looks like.
At Waco, they were talking about notices during the financial thing where we just did three postings, basically, posting on our internet and then two other.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be newspaper. It could be social media, website, and you could post it in the hallway right out here in the building.
Okay,
That may be able to save some money on.
that is another concern or a question that I had was the publication cost for that would be probably pretty extensive.
Yeah. Commissioner Nicholas?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, Heather. I've seen it done wrong at the city before too, in that people haven't felt like they got notices, or that the city felt like, or other people in our community felt like the city didn't get an appropriate amount for property. I think with real property, we need to be careful and we need to get a full-blown appraisal every time, unless and until, the property is such a de minimis piece that it's not worth $1,000. And then maybe we need to come back in here and talk, because that does happen where you've got literally something as big as these tables because of something that happened, generations ago. But in general, I think we owe it to the public to not try to do anything in-house, not try to do anything with the assessor's office. Go out, hire somebody. It's going to cost a little bit. It's going to cost more than I'd like, but I think there's just too many, the optics, whether it's legitimate and above board or not. I think that the optics sometimes are such that we really do need to go above and beyond on notices and on establishing a value. And when we do open bids, I think we need to reserve the right to reject bids. So if for whatever reason, a $500,000 property receives for its highest bid $100,000, something may not have worked out. So please give us a little flexibility. And I know in a lot of cases we reserve that right, but I just think it's extra important in this realm. Thanks.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Lyric?
I would like to point out the city's issues with the furniture store that they bought and then sold. And that was really, that was before your time. It was before my time when they bought it. I was there when they sold it. I think they sold it for $1 million at least, less than they paid for it. So all of that transpires, and I think the way you're doing it, I like the sound of it, which is the bids. I think we should have the statutory right to reject any and all bids. I think that's in the statute, because they come in and they offer the 100 and everybody's told us it's worth 500. Then I wonder about that, but I'm not a real estate expert. Mr. Friel can probably talk about those kind of things, but in this day and age, we don't want to feel like the taxpayers got rolled on a deal, whatever that means.
One thing just to mention is that your all's ability to reject a bid or accept a bid or make a counteroffer is in the draft. I do have one question regarding notice. Originally, when I started drafting this, it became very cumbersome, which is fine, because the draft that I had also would be the purchaser had a duty to publish as well. And what I'm hearing is, of course, Commissioner, you want notice, and good notice or adequate notice, maybe even a little much, but then I also am hearing about just notice on the website. So it would be helpful if to know if you all are wanting notice on the website and notice in the newspaper. And we can put, I guess, the burden on the purchaser to also, file a notice in the newspaper.
I guess.
It's a lot of,
I guess to clarify, I mean, whatever we legally have to do, obviously we need to do. And if it's 3 places, I think that, the discussion that we had at Waco was that you don't necessarily have to do it in a newspaper. And that seems to be where a lot of our costs come from, is putting these notifications in a newspaper. If we can do it on social media, we could do it on our own website, we could post in our own building. If that covers what we're required to do by law, and that saves the taxpayer money from putting it into a newspaper, then I personally prefer to do that. Especially the amount of times that we may have to do this, or may not.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Milne.
well, I was just going to say, I think that's part of the issue. Some of these statutes don't specify, pursuant to the other rules of publication and how you do notice by publication. And so we can write it either way. We can say in a countywide newspaper, we can say, and that's the problem, they don't distinguish. And I know the talk has been for a while with county attorneys and publishing.
Yeah, this discussion that Steve's, Chairman Friel's referring to was with Department of Revenue, going over all those different requirements last week. And we don't have to just limit the notices to like this building or wherever, maybe the library, where, it's public spaces, public areas. The other thing that can be done is not just with our internet or our website. Eileen can make a page strictly for, say, real estate. She could have it set up so that people that are interested in sales through the county could actually go on there, subscribe to it. If it changes or if anything's added, bam, they get an email notice right away. There's ways of doing this stuff where it broadens the availability of people that are actually interested in it, not just putting information out to put information out.
Yes, and I do have that in my draft where I didn't have it that detailed what IT would do, but that there would be a different link or a special category for real property for sale by the county. So that is in the draft as well.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Laird.
I did learn something from some experts one time about publishing these things. One is younger people want to see it digitally. Oil City News, Facebook, older people still, but there's a very big minority now read the newspaper. But the newspaper also has a digital publication. So if you want to get it to the most people, it really has to go out digitally. But then you could miss more elderly people who still like to grab a hold of a newspaper. But I think we only get 3 of them a week now.
I believe the way at least the Star Tribune works is if we pay to publish something under legal notices, it goes in both the digital copy as well as the hard copy. And I know I checked the digital copy to make sure it's in there. I haven't checked the hard copy, but paying to put it in would put it in both digital and hard copy. And I agree some people still do utilize paper and actual hard copy of something.
So I have two other quick questions then. Looking back at the temporary lodge that we just took over to Murphy Shed and put up, I mean, technically, should that have been, or was it posted in 3 spaces? Or are we required, or is that considered personal property and not?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it is. So we followed the capital asset policy we have in our county handbook for that. And I don't remember that it requires us to post it in 3 different locations.
Okay.
I think we just have to make it available to sell to the public.
Okay,
which is
that
what
was
we did.
just for my personal knowledge. And then the second thing, when it comes to this policy that you're working on now, as far as the bid process and everything, do we also make sure that we have in there that if somebody brings and I bring this up because I'm in the real estate world, but if somebody brings a broker, we do not pay commissions out to any brokers, and that's clearly written in there, right?
It can be, yeah. Yes, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Milne, we would put all those costs onto the purchaser, title search and closing costs.
Commissioner Nicolason.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I think some flexibility in some of those things like closing costs and other fees that, for example, unless otherwise agreed by the parties, comma, the purchaser shall be responsible to ... I think sometimes the business of having people approach us and say, sell me your property, there's usually a reason. And lots of times it's completely legitimate for them. It may not be completely in the best interest of the county. And, sometimes knowledge and information on our side or on the seller side is lacking. And I think I just want it not to blow up in our face and not to be accused of, getting rid of it to our friends, or because it's a small town and we have a lot of friends. And
I don't have that many, so I don't have that problem.
stick around for 130 years and you will. I'm losing friends every day. No, so I think if council just has a clear understanding of some of the hazards and pitfalls in thin ice, because, protecting and safeguarding the county property is our job. And yeah, sometimes it doesn't make sense for us to own property in perpetuity, but let's be real careful about just kind of shelling it off to the, first guy that comes to us. I know that's not what we're talking about, but I don't ever want it to seem like that's what we're doing. Thanks.
Thank you.
Commissioner North.
As a prime example of what Commissioner Nicolason was just saying, it was before you got on the board, but we had a piece of property that we had somebody wanting to buy, but looking into it a little further, there's actually some ties that when that property was given to the county, that if it was ever used for anything other than a park, that it had a reverter in there. That's the type of information we need to make sure that we have that information available to us before we ever look at anything. And unfortunately, this piece of property would be it's a very desirable piece of property as things are developing. But we've got to watch out for that. We've got to make sure that we look into it and see just exactly where we got it and what ties we have to it. If it's obviously something that was relinquished to us because somebody decided that they just didn't want to pay property taxes anymore, that changes the complexion a lot. But when it is something that was given to the county and there are ties associated with it, we just got to make sure that we know what those are, so we don't get ourselves in trouble, so we don't end up selling something and then getting sued because we sold something that we didn't legally have the right to sell.
Mr. Chairman, I just needed a point of clarification.
Commissioner Laird.
So if we sell a piece of our property, put it out for bid, and some broker brings us a person to purchase it, we don't pay the broker?
No, sir.
Is that a policy, or is that the way it's normally done?
It's the way it's normally done. I mean, that's the way it's been, and I personally have dealt with the city on that, on council, and you've never used taxpayer money to pay a real estate fee in a transaction like that.
So then the fee would be paid by the buyer?
If a realtor were to come forward and represent somebody in the purchase of property, it would not be paid for by the seller of the property, being the government entity. It would have to come from the purchaser paying the buyer. paying their agent out of their own pocket.
And we don't give listings to people, do we?
No.
Okay, I thank you.
No, so real estate has nothing to do with, just to be clear, nothing to do with the government side of things. Just want to be clear. All right.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so can I get a motion to go in, unless we have anything else to cover, a motion to go into executive session? She has one for.
For proposed litigation purposes.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to move into executive session to discuss potential litigation possible.
Motion made by Commissioner Milne, second by Commissioner Nicolason. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're in executive session. If we have time.
But you said we just confirm and do this, we have all sorts of time, but.
Well, I thought we were.
Take breaks.
You little yucky guys.